After going back and watching tape, it's funny, you get back at whatever time we got back, 6 o'clock in the morning. I came back up here about 8:30 Sunday morning just so I watched part of it on the bus, watched part of it Sunday morning, and a couple things come real crystal clear to you. We got a young football team. And when I say that, what I mean is, and I'm going to be a little bit long-winded, what I mean is the moment sometimes can get too big for guys. And then what I mean by too big for them is you can coach them, you can drill it, you can do it, but when they have to get out there and do it, sometimes it doesn't get done. And there was a play, and I'll give you one instance. We stop them, get the ball back for offense. We go punt return. They give us a tight formation. We got 2 freshmen on our punt block team that are supposed to hold up 2 guys. All week long, they've held up the right guys. On Saturday, they hold up the wrong guy. And then we've got a punt returner that's a junior that in our punt return scheme, the ball is supposed to go right back where it's kicked from, meaning if the ball is kicked from the hash, that's our return. We're taking down the hash. He tries to take it to the field, and we get a holding penalty, which moves us back, which means we got longer to go to try to drive for the last score. So there's a lot of little things, but that one play had 2 instances in it where guys don't do what they're coached. And is it frustrating? Yes, but it's also youth and guys that still have to learn how to buy into your program. And we always talk about 3 things in your program. You either have guys that can't do it, guys that won't do it, or guys that don't know how to do it yet. And we've got some that can't, and that's recruiting. That's recruiting. You got some that won't, and to me that's the defiance. And I don't think we have many guys that won't. I don't think we have any guys, to be honest with you, that won't. And then you have some guys that they can't take the meeting to the field yet. And that's where we got to get better as a football team, taking the meeting to the field. So I spent a lot of time with the defensive staff going over the film and actually going back and looking at practice film and looking at notes and tips and reminders and seeing stuff that was included in tips and reminders. We had our inside linebackers, Gabe Lloyd and Brian London, didn't play very well at all. And I went back and I looked at Coach McCrae's tips and reminders, and in his tips and reminders, tip 8 said, key the tight end in the run game. And probably 20 times in the run game, they didn't key the tight end in the run game. So that's kind of where we are as a football team right now. We've got to lock in. The word of the week was focus. Obviously, we didn't for the entire game. So we got to continue to get better at that. You can't give up 23 points in the second quarter. You can't turn it over 2 times in the second quarter when they're not good turnovers. They're not tip balls. They're bad decisions. You can't give up 298 yards of net rushing to anybody and expect to win. But I will say, the team kept battling back. There were 5 balls on the ground that we didn't get Saturday, that the other team laid on the ground that we didn't get Saturday. So somehow, some way, we got to find a way to get 2 of those. We did get 2 turnovers that gave us points. So defense did some good things in that fashion. I thought we ran the ball a little bit better on offense than we have. It's still not close to what we have to be to be successful. I thought our quarterback ran the ball better. I thought and again, that's a big part of our offense. Our quarterback has to have a piece of the run game in our offense, and I thought he did a really good job of that. So we are making some strides. And again, if you go back and you turn your pages back to maybe 2 months ago at a press conference, you'll see that we try to gauge this thing as a season is steady growth in the program, and wins and losses are important, but for right now, they're not the most important thing for this program right now. The most important thing is we continue to get better. We're going to play a team this week, much like the last 2 teams we played. The record doesn't indicate how talented they are. They've got a very talented team. They lost to a very talented Appalachian State team. I hope you guys understand it's Appalachian and not Appalachian. I had to correct the guy on the radio last night because he called it Appalachian State. That's my alma mater, so it's called Appalachian State. So I had to correct him. So they lost to a very tough Appalachian State University team last week. This program has been one of the premier programs in the Sun Belt. I know they've had some issues with some NCAA stuff here recently, but they've had 4 years where they've done really, really well in this conference. Running back's very talented. They've got good size up front in the offensive line. Even though they're struggling in the passing game, they run the ball very well. Their defense is a lot like Georgia State as far as length and size. We kind of compare them to Georgia State's defense in a lot of ways, the way they play. They will bring more pressure than any team we played. They're about 40% pressure. And I mean pressure, I mean at least 5 guys attacking the line of scrimmage. So we've got a big challenge ahead of us. Again, the growth this week that we need to make is needed. We need to get better at we play a little bit better in the offensive line. We got to get better in the offensive line. We need to play better stopping the run on defense to give us a chance. We won't have any chance if we can't stop the run. So we've got to fit the run a lot better at all of our front 7 positions for us to have a chance to win the ball game. Okay, so I'm gonna open it up for questions.
Coach, the onside kick in the second half, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we got it, and they blew it. Referees have a really tough job. A real tough job. The game's really fast, and sometimes you wonder if it's too fast for them at times. It also lends to why replay is really important. If you really look at replay, and I did 8 times, it ain't even close. The ball's 11 yards, and Lumi Kaba's got it. And they said it was clear-cut evidence that it didn't go 11. We sent it in to Steve, what's Steve's last name? Steve Shaw. Steve's very good at it. He sent it back. He said, yep, you guys got it. So they blew it. They missed it.
Did they look at that?
They did look at it.
They looked at it in the booth?
They looked at it. They have to. They have to. And it was, again, I don't envy the job that referees have. I do blame the replay guy. I do blame the replay guy because it was obvious. It wasn't even close. It's not even close. We got the ball. So there were a number of calls. I think in the last 2 weeks, we sent in 20 calls, and something like 14 or 16 of them have been incorrect by the officials that we sent in.
How does that compare with the CAA?
I really like the Sun Belt refs. The last 2 weeks, I haven't liked them very much, but CAA was pretty bad, and this group started to catch up to that a little bit. I'm hoping it's not a trend, but the last 2 weeks it's not been very good.
You mentioned Eli McGuire, Coach Huck's best running back. He's a guy, obviously, he can run the ball, but as we know around here, he can also go out of the backfield and catch the ball. So as a defense, we've seen Stedman Mayberry be a dual threat kind of running back. So how do you prepare for a guy like that?
Well, you just have to know where he is all the time. You have to know, where he is, if he's weak in the formation, if he's strong in the formation, if he's stacked with the tight end, if he's close, if the receivers are close and he's split, weak in the backfield. Can he free release right now? He's a very good screen runner. He's a very good route runner out of the backfield. He's their number 1 weapon. And I really like their tight end too, so I think he's a really good player. But yeah, we just got to know where he is in the formations, and that's the only thing you can do. You just got to know where the back is. When you have a threat like that, you just got to know where he is. People put people in special spots to get him the ball, and we just have to be aware of where he is.
But what are your thoughts on Jennings? And do you go back and look at any of his LSU stuff, or is that so far back?
It's just too far back for me.
What are
Good player. What I think is more than anything else, I think this football team is struggling all across offensive line in some areas, passing game in some areas. I just think this team's struggling all the way along, but I think they've got really talented players, and he's one of them. he's got a lot of talent.
Coach, past two road games, you mentioned the second quarters of all those games.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something you guys have seen in the film, and just kind of, is there something you can kind of attribute to the way those second quarters have gone?
Not really. Not really, other than, youth of a football team not being able to handle success early. When things in college football, there's always going to be ebbs and flows of the game. There's always going to be good parts of the game, and there's always going to be points in the game where you're going to have adversity in every college football game. Just if you go and you take notes in every single college football, there's no football game where one team just dominates from the beginning to the end. There's a series somewhere in there where that other team is moving the ball. Now, how do you act or respond to that? And we haven't responded very well in the second quarter. We didn't stop the run very well. We turned it over twice this past week in the second quarter, which you can't do. So we've got to not have the self-inflicting wounds. That to me is a big thing. And then we got to stop the run better in the second quarter.
Is that a coach that into a player, or is that something that they should have?
I think it's part of building the culture, man, and guys just growing up. You got to put kids in adverse situations. Our program's about fighting your way out of adversity. I mean, it is. Everything we do is about fighting your way out of adversity. And we've got to grow up and learn how. You learn how to win. I really believe that. You just don't win. You learn how to win. And one of the things we got to do better as coaches, we got to teach our guys how to win. Our football team's got to learn how to, if it's sudden change, how to go attack the field on defense and get a stop. And we've done that some. We've gone on the field in plus territory and stopped and make people kick field goals. We haven't done it enough, and we're having to do it too much. So we've got to find a way to fight adversity. And that, to me, is playing the game. Guys get more snaps and playing the game. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by what's exact message from football team when you say that?
Yeah. I think toughness more than anything else is the mental toughness of the grind of the season. What happens this time of year is your freshmen, they've got 3 exams next week. They've been away from home a little while now. And oh, by the way, they're on the kickoff and the punt team, and they're back up in nickel. Okay, so they got a lot of stuff on their plate right now. So the freshmen start looking at you, with 3 heads now, and they start struggling. So, and then the older guys, that if you're not having success and you haven't had it in your career, you start going, okay, it's just like it always has been. So how do you mentally not let yourself fall in that, that rut? It's coaches got to help the kids. We got to go and have great practices. But the mental toughness part is just fighting your way out of that, not letting you, because it's easy for it to do this. It's real easy. And if I'm not mistaken, it's done that here before, where it's just kind of, okay, and it just does that. How do you not let it do that? Now, does that mean you're going to go win the rest of your games? It doesn't. But are you going to make some steady improvements? And that's what I mean by mental toughness. How can we fight through the tough time right here, last couple weeks, and still make steady improvement with our football team?
Coach, I know coaches aren't fans of distractions.
Mm-hmm.
It is homecoming week this
Right.
week. What has been your message to your team about homecoming and all the extra stuff going on?
Find a way to win a game. Find a way to win a game. Homecoming is for alumni, students, and people that want to drink and tailgate. I've been a part of some pretty big homecomings, but I don't know anything what happened to them. I don't. As a coach and as a player, if you got any idea what's going on at homecoming, you're not thinking about the right things. If you're a player and a coach, I don't know what they do during homecoming. Maybe one day when I get old, I'll figure it out and be able to go to one.
I think for several years, Louisiana Lafayette was really kind of the cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be the team that they've been in the past, but I also believe they're a team that Texas State has never beat.
Mm-hmm.
Can this be the year that changes?
Well, we're going to try. That's our objective, is to try to win the game. You're right. It's been the cream of the crop of the conference. It's been a very good football program. They've done a good job of recruiting. You know, they've done a good job of building and this program's always been pretty good. When I was coaching at Southern Miss, this program was always good. So it's not like it's got history. Nelson Stokely, and back in the days of Brandon Stokely playing receiver, and I remember those days. They were very, very talented football teams. So this is not one of those teams that doesn't have a lot of history. So we've got we're going to have a battle. This is a good-looking football team also. They've lost 2 games in overtime, like double and triple overtime. They could very well be, 4-2 or 5-1. To be honest with you. So it's a very good football team. So, yeah, we got a battle ahead of us, but, it's part of the challenge of improving and getting better and trying to win games.
Damani Alexcee, Frankie Griffin, 2 guys that's also extended time to made some plays. Can you tell us a little bit about your evaluation of those 2 that played last year? Anything you go forward?
I think Frankie's made steady improvements since coming back from injury. He missed a bunch of camp and a bunch of the early part of the season, and he's come back and really progressed well, probably better than we thought he would coming back since, Frankie never really has played football since like his junior year of high school. People don't realize he's been hurt his entire career. High school, I think he had an ACL or knee injury. He had one last year here. He's never really played. So his really extended action has been the last 2 weeks for the first time. And he's played pretty well. He's one of those guys that is, kind of taking the coaching. He plays extremely hard, which, makes up for a lot of it when you play hard. But he's played well. Damani is a guy that, I think he struggled early in trying to learn and do the things we wanted him to do. He's a physical player. He struggled with angles. He struggled with angles and missed tackles. He makes a lot, but he missed a lot early doing camp and back last spring, and he's gotten better. And he's got more confidence. And he's the thing I like about him, he's a safety that's vocal. And it's one of the things we don't have right now is a bunch of guys that in the back end that like to talk and tell everybody what we're supposed to be doing. And he's one of the guys that does that right now for us. No question. No question. It's when you're not quite sure. I always tell guys, if you're not quite sure, say it anyway. At least we're all playing the wrong coverage together, right? So if you're going to say something, check us in something wrong, say it real loud so we're all playing the wrong coverage together. Don't go, well, I think, I'm going to keep this to myself. Then nobody plays anything, and then you give up big plays. That's how you give up big plays. So I like guys that are vocal. I like guys that say it whether it's right or wrong. At least they're talking. You can fix it when you're trying to guess what they're thinking. That's hard.
No one in your locker room, in this office, or on this campus wants to see Texas State at the bottom of the conference standings.
Right.
Is there a sense of urgency yet that if you don't want to be there, that things have to start changing?
Yeah, there's always a sense of urgency. The sense of urgency for us is to get better each week. I think if you've been here at all the press conference, what you've heard is how do we continue to grow the program and how do we get better? We got, a youthful football team. That's been said probably 15 times here. How do you get better? And sometimes you don't see it in wins and losses. What you see is steady. We've gotten better since last spring. I tell you that. If you ever came to spring practice, you would say, wow. I mean, and I think, yes, you saw it. Kev, I think you saw it. My whole mission in year one is to grow the program, create a culture, teach guys how to compete, how to play in our system, and get better with a bunch of young guys. Fans are called fanatics for a reason. They want it right now. I'm not a fan, though. We've got a number of seniors that, I think they try. To me, leaders are guys that not necessarily vocal, but their work ethic is consistent. They do it right. They lead by example. You'd like to have a couple of vocal leaders. We really don't on our football team. We don't have vocal leaders on our football team. Our quarterback's not. You know, we don't really have a guy. Probably the two most vocal guys that are on our football team are Gabe Schrader, tight end, and Gabe Lloyd, our linebacker. And those are the two most vocal guys. And they try to lead. They try to lead. Gabe Schrader has played consistent and done an unbelievable job. We actually play him way too much. We got to grow somebody at that position because he won't last the entire season. But he is our vocal leader, and on defense, it's Gabe Lloyd, who just got here in January. So that kind of tells you where we are. When you got a guy that just got here in January, he's kind of the leader of your defense, and the other guy's a tight end. We got to figure out how to increase the leadership. And you can teach guys how to lead. I mean, you know, you can help them learn how to lead, and that's part of this whole process right now.
It felt pretty good. We always talk about scoring on defense, and I'm just glad I was able to help the team. We scored twice in the other game. Stanley Canoe had a great interception, great run back for a touchdown, and I just felt great to be a part of the defense that we're starting to score and stuff. You know.
A little bittersweet to pair it up with the loss, though.
Yeah, I mean, we even though I did get a touchdown, and we did like do some great things on defense last game. It wasn't enough. I mean, we know that, and we know we have to come to work this week and give it a little bit of better effort in order to pull it out against Lafayette.
You ever see Stanley move like that on the pick six?
Hmm?
You ever seen Stanley move like that?
Oh no, I didn't know he had the moves like that. I had a great vantage point too, chasing him from behind, trying to get him in the end zone. But yeah, he stuck in backdoor the dude and went and got the touchdown. And I was like, Stan's a pretty good athlete.
One thing that we noticed in the game on Saturday, and even saw it in Atlanta, it appears as though you're playing with a different level of physicality. When you come to make the tackle, it seems like you're bringing a hammer with you. Was that a point of emphasis for you coming into the season to be more physical?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it was a point of emphasis, but I mean, I know we do need physical presence on defense. That's what defense is all being about. Like. And I feel like it's my senior year, and I just want to help the team out any way I can. And if it means I have to be more physical, whatever I have to do, then I'm going to do that.
Damani, you're feeling more comfortable with the role in defense now. You started these past 2 games, third of the team tackles this past Saturday. You feel like you're fitting in better now with this particular defense?
Yeah, I feel like my role has been a little more defined. I feel like my coaches have helped me out a lot with it. In practice and everything, and making sure I know the game plan, and making sure I know exactly where I fit in, and it feels pretty good to be back.
We've seen these last 2 games, defense play really well in the first, third, and fourth quarters, but second, then it seems to be getting away. How do you address that moving forward?
I think it's all about practice. It all comes down to practice. We kind of had a slow start to our Wednesday practice, and if you break it down, the week is Tuesday's like the first quarter, Wednesday's like the second quarter. Thursday, Friday, third and fourth, and we had a pretty slow start to Wednesday practice, and we didn't have a great practice on Wednesday at all. So I think the emphasis this week is making sure we come out today with the right attitude and get it going immediately. So start the week off right, so we can start off fast again. Wednesday, come out and clean up the game plan and know exactly what we have to do and don't take any steps back, and then finish on cleaning up Thursday and Friday, because we had the good Thursday and Friday practice and walkthrough last week. So I think that pretty much solidified it. So I think the emphasis this week is making sure every practice is 100% and we don't have any step backs in it.
You've had a lot of experience playing against UL Lafayette, and it seems that a lot of requires a tough play to stop, when you're running back. In your experience, what's made it so difficult to contain? What do you have to do to slow him down this Saturday?
He's a pretty explosive athlete. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. He's a fast guy. He can come out the backfield and catch the ball on you and everything like that. But I think the emphasis is just, what defense always is play your gap responsibility, make sure you're sound on your run fits, and if we can stop the zone, which is one of the major plays in the run game, and make sure everybody's in the right gaps, I feel like we'd be able to have a chance to contain them, and then we can focus on getting the ball or getting off the field on third down and everything like that.
Damani, we've had a couple of nice home crowds here, obviously against Houston, a record-breaking crowd. I think some people forget this is the Bobcats' first Sun Belt Conference home game. Mm-hmm. What's it going to be like to, obviously you're practicing here home this week, but to be able to wake up in San Marcos on game day on Saturday and have your fans up there in the stands?
It's gonna be nice. It's homecoming too, so I have a good feeling about the crowd that we're gonna have in attendance, and I know, and we're gonna need it too, because having a big crowd in your back in a home game is always a great thing, and so I feel like I can't wait to see how the crowd turns out on Saturday, and I'm pretty pumped about it.
One thing that the crowd's never seen is Texas State beat Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, for sure.
Can this be the year they're gonna?
Oh, definitely. I have a really good feeling about it. I maybe for personal reasons, I really want to beat Louisiana Lafayette, and I really feel like we have a chance this year. And I feel like if we practice the way we need to practice and do the things we need to do this week as a defense and as an offense also, then we can definitely do it.
What are the personal reasons?
I haven't beat them yet for my 3 years of playing. Or
For whatever reason, the Texas State seemed to struggle against Lafayette past couple seasons. Has there been anything heading into that game? Has it just been a physical mismatch, or
maybe I remember the first year we were in the Sun Belt. We might not have been ready as far as like the physicality of the run game when it comes out. But I think now we've got to the point where we understand how people run the ball in the Sun Belt, and when we know how to, and we have the ability to stop them. And I feel like like I said, we just need to go in the game with the mentality that we will win, and I know we will, because I know this team has a chip on their shoulder, especially after the loss we took this past week. We understand exactly where we are, and we know what we have to do moving forward.
Coach was saying you're one of the more vocal players on the team, especially in the uniform. Do you feel like that's something that's kind of lacking with the DB, something you need more of, like some of the guys chirping and telling each other coverages and stuff?
Well, as far as being vocal as far as communication, my other safety, Javante O'Roy, he's very good at communicating back and forth with the corners and the linebackers also, to make sure we're all on the same page. Maybe I do have maybe a little bit of a role as far as like whenever something happens or something good happens, something bad happens on the sideline. I do think I speak up a little more, but I don't think it's lacking. But I know like it's always a room for improvement in any situation like that, as far as being vocal.